Hi, my name's Chris Hardwell, and this is just a short presentation introducing student finance at university. So to start with, most parents do ask this central question: does it really cost £60,000? Now, to be fair, the answer is yes, it does. And the reason it is so expensive is, firstly, there's over £9,000 each year in tuition fees, £9,250 currently. And also, each year, students have to factor in living expenses. Now, they might not spend as much as £10,000, but anywhere between £8,000 and £10,000 is a good guide for what a student would spend each year on accommodation, food, books, travel, and of course, their social life. Now, it's hard as a parent to gauge an idea of how expensive accommodation is. So this is what I've taken from the current York University accommodation guide. And as you can see, when you look through this, there are a range of prices based upon whether a student is catered for or self-catering. But these prices range all the way up from just short of £4,000 all the way up to more than £7,000. And obviously this is before a student spends the year with social life, books and other expenses. Now, for most parents, they know that tuition fees are paid by the government and they're paid up front. But where does the rest of this money come from? Where does this, say, £8,000 to £10,000 a year going to come from? Now, a student would be working part-time. Most students do work part-time. I'm sure a lot of students currently at the moment at sixth formers are working part-time. And obviously the expectation for most parents is that that student would do a part-time job and help pay for some of those expenses. But the fact is that for most people, they will be relying upon their parents. And I'll discuss this a little bit later, but the government actually expects parents to provide money for students to go to university. That's factored into the system. Bursaries, something that we push students towards, but as a parent, you will be wanting to push them towards a bursary if they choose to go to university, because about a third of students get them, and they are money that is not paid back. Different courses, different income levels get bursaries, and it's important to push students to do a bit of research to pick up what is effectively free money. Also, there are scholarships. This is what students should be looking forward to as well, because particularly in the sciences, if they complete tasks, say an essay, they might well get a scholarship, or if they've got certain grades, they'll get a scholarship. It's really important to get them to look for scholarships as well as the bursaries. They do get a maintenance loan from the government, but this is based upon parental income. So to recap, the repayable bits are they'll get a tuition-free loan that's paid straight to university, and that's currently £9,250 every single year. And they also get a maintenance loan from the government if they apply for it, and that's in 3 instalments, so they don't use it all on the first week in September. Non-repayable are those bursaries and scholarships that I've talked about, and as I said, about a third of the students get them. There's a good website there, scholarship-hub.org.uk, and students really should be looking to see if they can access these bursaries and scholarships. Now, the maintenance loans. Maintenance loans students are entitled to, and this is a loan that they have to pay back. However, every student is entitled to different amounts of a loan, and this loan is based upon parental income, the household income. And so I've put this slide on the most recent document from the government, and as you can see, they range all the way from a household income of under £25,000, and if the household income is more than £70,000, the amount of loan that the student can apply for is significantly reduced. So, say for example, they went to Newcastle Uni and you currently live in York. If you had a household income under 25 grand, that student could apply for a loan of nearly £10,000, which would pretty much cover all their expenses. However, if the household income was in excess of £70,000, both parents earning, £70,000 is an income that a lot of people can get to, and so it's more common than you think. That student is entitled to under half the loan, and the government will expect parents to make up the difference. So if your household income is over £70,000, the government is basically saying to you, they expect you to give the student £5,000 a year. Students do have to pay the maintenance loan back, but they only start paying once they earn over £25,000 a year. and they pay 9% on the money they earn over £25,000. If their wages drop below £25,000, they don't have to pay anything back. And after 40 years, this stops. So effectively what that means, if a student is on a very high income at the start, they will be paying quite a lot back. But if they are only on, say, 25 grand for a number of years, they will only be paying small amounts of this loan off. And after 40 years, it will be cancelled. So I put this slide together for you to illustrate how that works. So this is that maintenance loan which students can apply for. Let's say they start on £25,000 and that's exactly what they earn and stay earning. They will pay zero back. After 40 years, the entire loan amount will be cancelled. But as you can see, as they increase their salary, they pay the money back. But, you know, as a parent who possibly a lot of people are paying rent and mortgage and have got much more life experience of repaying debts back, you'll probably work out here that that's not a huge amount each month to be paying off a debt of, say, £60,000. That does accrue interest. So, yes, they don't pay much back and there won't be a huge amount paid off that loan. But 40 years is a long time, and the government effectively hopes that during that 40 years they earn a significant amount of money and then they will be paying that back. So Martin Lewis, his key phrase is whenever he's asked about the repayment of student loans, he refers to it as a tax. He says, don't put off going to university if you want to go. Effectively see that because you've gone to university, you might well have a higher paying job, and effectively you've got a higher tax rate because you've taken out these loans. So the best way of seeing it is that students effectively pay a higher rate of tax for having gone to university, and if yes, they've got much higher paying jobs because they've gone to university, then you could well argue that they should be paying that money back. So as Martin Lewis says, it's a tax. Now if after this you're still thinking I'm very concerned about the money, what the tips I would argue are these. I would advise students to go to the best possible university, the higher rating university, and it's not always a given, but the higher their grades, the higher the rating of the university is a good indication that they should hopefully increase the likelihood of getting a very well paid job. Secondly, make sure if they're worried about the cost of university that they pick a course maybe more related to a job that they can see that will help them directly get into employment. Maybe apply for certain jobs that have a year in industry. Many do. Students go for 2 years, they do a year in industry that's paid, and then at the end of it they've done 4 years, but of course they've got a degree and a year of work experience, which is obviously going to increase the likelihood of them getting a job. And after all this, you might well think, well, which degrees will help the most? There's lots of evidence all over the internet you can look at for different views on what different degrees lead to. But yes, there are many degrees that we have a big shortage of in this country. Say, for example, engineering. This country is crying out for engineers. And from speaking to students over the many years, engineers tend to walk into jobs. So ultimately, there are a number of things you can do if you're worried about the high expense of university. But I would say university is a fantastic experience, and students do earn more money over their lifetime for going to university. But yes, there are various things that you can do if you are concerned about the cost.